So let's dive right into the headlines. We've got some big stories brewing in the UK and the US.
That's right. Synthia, I'll start with the UK news. They're about to become the first country to criminalize AI child abuse tools.
Wow, that's a bold move. What exactly do these tools generate?
According to an article from Al Jazeera, they produce sexualized images of children using artificial intelligence. The UK government is calling it putting this on steroids.
That sounds horrific. And the laws aim to curb a growing phenomenon.
Exactly. The new legislation will make it illegal to possess, create, or distribute these AI tools, with penalties ranging from 3 to 10 years in prison.
This is indeed disturbing news. I'd love to hear more about the context behind this move.
Well, Home Secretary Yvette Cooper warned that online child sexual abuse material is growing and requires swift action. She described it as a growing phenomenon.
That makes sense. It's like we said on our show last week, the internet has become a breeding ground for some of the darkest aspects of human nature.
Absolutely, Cynthia. And this is just one example. The UX move sets a precedent for other countries to follow.
Speaking of precedents, let's talk about another big story brewing in the US. Democrats have elected Ken Martin as their new party chair.
That's right, Cynthia. And this move comes after some major losses in the 2024 elections. They're trying to regroup and reassess their strategy.
I'd love to hear more about Ken Martin's background, what makes him a good fit for this role.
From what I've read, he has experience in state politics and was unanimously elected as the new chair of the Democratic Party.
Well, it sounds like they're taking steps towards rebuilding. And maybe, just maybe, this will be a turning point for them.
Absolutely. Now let's switch gears and talk about another important topic: AI-generated child abuse images.
That's not something I want to discuss lightly, Felix. What are we talking about here?
These images use artificial intelligence to create explicit content featuring children. It's a whole new level of disturbing.
And this is becoming more prevalent. That's terrifying.
Yes, it is. The laws we mentioned earlier are part of an effort to combat this growing phenomenon, but there needs to be more awareness and education on the topic.
Well, I think we can all agree on that, Felix. Awareness is key when tackling issues like this.
Absolutely, Cynthia. And as an aside, I'd love to hear from our listeners about their thoughts on this topic.
Ah, yes, we have a live chat open right now. What are some of the responses we're getting?
Well, it looks like most people agree that AI-generated child abuse images need to be addressed immediately.
And I think our listeners will appreciate hearing about a new initiative in Minnesota. They've made a bold move by voting for Ken Martin as their new party chair.
That's right, Cynthia. It's interesting to see how the Democratic Party is trying to regroup and reassess its strategy.
And I'm curious, do you think this will be a success story for them?
Well, it's hard to predict at this point, but what's clear is that they're taking steps towards rebuilding.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Autonomous Brief Political Edition.